Hey guys, my name is Adam and I'm here with MTO's Impressions. This is a series I will be starting where I'll cover various games and give you my initial impressions and also a general overlook of how the game plays. So this is Game Dev Tycoon. It's a very interesting title. It's a tycoon simulation game and there will be a link down below if you're interested in purchasing this title. This game has received a lot of attention due to their attempts to fight piracy, which has been very humorous. I'll be covering that on this week's News Hub, but for now, let's start a brand new game. So, already done the tutorials, and I will skip them just because we can obviously start right away. So welcome to Game Dev Tycoon. In this business simulation, you have been transported back in time to start your very own game development company right at the beginning of the PC revolution. So, this game will give you 30 years to build your dream company. That's huge. This is the time when all the new consoles are coming out, and this goes all the way up to the next-gen consoles, the 720 and the PS4. They call every single console something different to avoid any legal trouble as well, so let's get right into it. We need to create a great company in the next 30 years. I'm going to start off at the very beginning of the game, and then I'm going to start loading my previous saves so I can show you how the company progresses over time. Alright, so first off, we need to give our company a name, which I will just call MTO Studios. And I will call my player Adam. So here we are. We are on our very old PC, 30 years in the past. You can see we're working at a desk here with a nice little lamp, and you can do a bit of character customization here. You can change your hair and face, and you can also change what shirt you're wearing. There is no pants that can be changed, so you're always wearing those pants. Alright, moving on. Just choose a save slot. I'll just save over that. There we go. Alright, so starting off in this game, if you look in the upper right, you'll see that you have a fan count, which is very important late game. You also have a date slot that will tell you how far into the game you are. Again, this game lasts for 30 years. You can go past that, but there will be no new consoles after that point. Start on year 1, month 1, week 1, and you can see that there is a black dot here. Once that goes to the bottom, you'll get into the next week. Games take a while to develop, of course, because they're games. That you need to do a lot of coding for it. Alright, so I'll get right into it. As you can see, we are in our garage. We are making games straight out of our garage, and we only have 70K in the bank, as indicated in the upper right. So we need to start making games. We need to start making a profit. Otherwise, we're just going to be homeless. So let's start developing a brand new game, and we're going to call this Solar Conquest, or something silly, and I completely misspelled Conquest. Ignore that. Alright, so we have Solar Conquest here. This is the name of our game. Now we can choose a topic. I'm going to go for a space game, and it will be the adventure genre. So we're creating a space adventure game, and we're going to choose the platform. Now under platform, you can see we have the G64 and the PC. These are the only systems out at the time. Underneath each of them, you can see the development cost and the market share. The market share means how many people are actually playing on the selected system. So right now, the G64 does have the competitive edge, so I'm going to start developing for that. Alright, so we have a space adventure game for the G64 called Solar Conquest. Now if we click Next, you can see that we have the option of text-based or 2D graphics. Also, this is just version 1. Every time we're trying to improve the game, you'll notice that we are rising up the cost. It's very important to note, and these high-end games are going to cost us a ridiculous amount in the future. We're going to go with a 2D graphic style. Adventure games can be good on text-based, but I'm just not a text-based gamer, so we're going to go 2D. Second game on that. Alright, if you look at the top, you'll notice that we have the game name and the genre and type of game that we are creating, and you'll also see design, technology, research, and bugs. So first off, we get to choose our sliders here. There's 3 stages of development, and you can choose how you want to allocate your time to each. This is very important. So for a space adventure game, you need to try to relate your sliders to the genre, just so you know. So for an adventure game, you want very good stories and questing. As you can see, we're now allocating most of our resources on that. Alright, so we want decent gameplay, but it's not the most important thing, and we can have the engine be decent as well. So, we have most of our time being spent on stories and quests. If we click OK, you'll notice that some circles start popping into our technology and design and research. Alright, so you want to get these design and technology points up as high as you can by the end of development. That way you have the best game possible. Research points are used for something a little bit different that I will show you soon. Bugs can be fixed before you actually release the game after you go through all the stages of development. Alright, so for adventure, we're probably going to want good dialogue, because who doesn't want good dialogue in an adventure game? Now, level design needs to be very good as well. AI does not need to be that good, though. Again, it's all about allocating your resources in the most efficient way possible. AI is unimportant in adventure games for the most part because you're mostly concerned with the story. You can once again continue, and you'll see that we're starting to pump more points into pretty much everything. These games are not going to have a bunch of points in them in the very beginning. Generally, you're going to end up with about 10 in each, maybe, and that's if you're pretty lucky. Later on, though, you're going to need to start creating games that have like 100 in each. And that's where you're going to go to in the future. Alright. So adventure game, we want great world design. That's always pretty important. Graphic style can be pretty good, and we can lower the sound a little bit. There we go. Alright, also, over on the right, you can see selected features. I have the option of basic sounds, which I can actually take off. I can have a soundless game if I really want to. But I'm going to keep basic sounds on there because that's pretty important. You know, a game without sound isn't very much fun. So let's keep developing the game. And as you can see, we're developing quite a lot of bugs here, which is a little unfortunate. But there we go. We have 9 design. And as you can see, development is finished, but we're starting to fine-tune our game, which is very important to do. And in the very beginning, when you don't have any hype behind your game, there's really no reason to just let all the points possible go into it. So as you can see, 9 and 8. Let's finish the game. And with that complete, we get all the experience, and your guy will level up over time, and he'll get better at doing all of this stuff. Now we can release the game, and in a short while, we're going to see some reviews. Here we go. First reviews for our newly released game, Solar Conquest, came in. In the very beginning, these scores generally aren't that good. As you can see, 5. And we're going to get 4 of these scores. This is essentially Metacritic. They're going to tell you if your game's good or bad with some arbitrary scoring system. Alright, so essentially, it seems like they really liked how we focused on stories and quests. It's pretty obvious considering it's an adventure game, but some people are very bland and just say, meh. Yeah, they don't give a ton of feedback. They say that some games just fall a bit short, but it shows potential. Alright, so we're a newcomer in the game industry, and we just released the first game, Solar Conquest, and we got moderate responses. So, after a short while, we're going to start seeing sales. Over here. Alright, so we sold 2.5k units in the first week on the market, and you'll notice that that's not all the sales. It's going to be doing it weekly. Alright, we have 12 fans now, so again, once you release really good games, you're going to start gaining a fan base. It's always good. As you can see, we're getting more and more fans every single week because more people are buying this game, and we're also getting quite a bit of money off it. Now, the huge question is, are we actually going to go positive off of this game? And we need to. That's the thing. This is a very stressful game when it comes to running and keeping your industry intact. Alright. A couple other things. As you can see, we now have the research tab available to us. So, here we use research points. 10 RP is essentially using research points. So if I want to create a new topic, it's going to take 10 RP. There's a couple ways I can get RP. The only way I can right now, though, is to develop a game. Another way I can is to do contract work, which I will show later in the video. Alright, so let's see what new topics they have. As you can see, there's a bunch of good ones. So I think that I'm going to research sci-fi. No, actually, you know what? I'm going to research fantasy, because fantasy is cool. So let's start the research on that, and you'll see that I have a progress bar that will tell me how far along I am in the research of that. Again, it took 10 research points in order to do that. Solar Quest is starting to dwindle in sales, so it's about to be done. There we go. Solar Conquest is now off the market. It sold 7.1k units and generated $50,000 in sales. So, once you have your first game complete, you can use game history. And as you can see, we earned a profit of 4.2k off of that game. It's generally a good idea to check your profit, because if you are spending more on a game than you are making, then you're not in the best shape ever. Alright, with that complete, especially in the beginning, you're going to want to start research on a brand new game pretty quickly. But yes, I am going to do a fantasy RPG. So that sounds fun. I'm going to call it Gaiden Sumi. I don't know. That's a really random name because I'm not in the creative mood. Anyway, as you can see, the G64 is rising in popularity with a higher market share. Again, it's costing me more to develop on that, but is it worth it? Because you'll probably get more people buying your game. These are all things you have to consider. Alright, we can continue on, and I'll do 2D graphics on this as well. Now, you're obviously going to get 3D, and it's a great idea to get that as soon as possible. Since it's an RPG, so story and questing is very important. Gameplay is also important, but I can lower the engine because people are more concerned with stories and quests and gameplay, especially in the earlier stages of your development. Also, you'll notice that I have an 8K monthly payment that I have to do. This gets even worse when you start having your own studio and not just working out of your garage. Alright, so the G64 is steadily outselling competitors in the PC sector. It's good. Alright, so once again, we are doing all our basic development. Alright, with that complete, we have dialogues maxed out, which seems to be decent. We'll bump the AI up just a little bit. Make sure we're not making the exact same game, because people do get upset with that. We are in the red right now, so we need to try to get this done quickly. You may ask what happens when we are in the red. The bank will offer you a loan, but again, you're going to need to pay back even more, and it's not always a great idea to take that loan. I don't know. The thing is, if you do go bankrupt, then that's game over. So it's a very stressful business. Very stressful. There's no filing for bankruptcy and possibly holding on to your studio if you sell the rights to some of your games. There's no pulling a THQ. It's not really how it works, although I believe THQ is actually fully shutting down. Alright, again. Here we go. Also, you'll notice that your guy likes to scratch his head a lot. Now, here we go. The bank has enabled you to withdraw 50K, but be careful. If your account balance is below negative 50K, you will go bankrupt. So you need to be very careful, and my guy really needs to stop scratching his head because he is going bankrupt. Again, very stressful. Your guy really doesn't have much talent in the very beginning. We're at negative 13.8K already because you need to remember that it's an 8K monthly payment. Alright, let's finish that off. Alright, what are we going to get? So we have new records in both design and tech. Let's see what we get with that. Got new topic, new combo, great combo. These are all bonuses, and it will improve your experience alone pretty much. Doesn't really help the sales, unless you're matching a trend. Alright, so the Ninvento, at least Ninvento is planning to release their very own gaming console. Of course, that is Nintendo. Alright. So, let's see how our game does this time. First reviews for our newly released game, Gaiden Sume, came in. So we're going to get a 5. See what else we're going to get. Another 5. And honestly, it's not that bad in the beginning. If you produce some very good games early on, though, you get a huge jump start. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and jump to a future save of mine and show you exactly how this game progresses. Also, we have the contracting access to us. So, I will show you that in the other save, though. So let's go ahead and load my other studio, True Point Studios. And we'll see exactly how this works. So here I am. I'm in a big studio. This is huge. I have 2 people working for me, as you can see here, David Drossman and David Fletcher. All of the developers in this game are based off actual people, actual developers, so some of these names you may know. I don't personally, because I don't follow the individual names of all these developers. Nonetheless, I'm over here in my corner at my L desk, and I am currently doing a bit of research. So you see, I have a lot more options to me now. I can create a custom engine, as you can see. One thing you do need to remember is you can see the cost of this. You can also see that I have $5.6 million. That is actually pretty low for a company that has 3 people working in it, because the monthly cost is very high, and you'll probably see that here in a moment. But as you can see, I have a lot of stuff available to me right now. I have a soundtrack, I have 3D graphics V3, it's a lot of 3s. Branching story, advanced cutscenes, save game, multiplayer, mouse, joystick, gamepad support. I don't have achievements in this one, but I do have character progression. I mean, you can see all the new options that I have available to me. Before, all I had was 2D graphics V1, for example. Now I have, like, realistic weather and all this crazy stuff. Alright, so, first off, you can find more staff. You can set a budget here, and you can also filter some applicants. Like, maybe you want somebody that could really highlight a game demo or whatever. That's also possible. Alright, take a look at contract work. You can notice that it pretty much, you need to try to create this much design and this much tech in the certain time frame. If you do that, then you'll get paid this amount. If you fail, then you get penalized that amount, basically. You get 3 of these a month. Actually, I have 4 right now, so I guess that's more. But anyway, let's try setting up some computers. It's very hard because 74 tech is pretty high. But you'll notice that all 3 of my developers are starting to work on it, and I may actually do it in time. You never really know, but let's take a look. Also, you notice that I have a game over here that is getting me a lot of sales. And it doesn't look like I'll be able to pull this one off, but that's fine. It's not much of a penalty, really. Alright, a couple other things that this later game offers. You can find a publishing deal. And as you can see, I am pretty far in the game. I'm on year 26, which is pretty far in. We have these publishers who will essentially ask you to make a certain game, or they'll give you freedom. For example, this publisher, Capcom, which is Capcom, is asking you to create any topic, any genre game for the Mbox Next, which is essentially the Xbox 720. Now, you only get 9% of the royalties, which is a really bad percentage, and that's one of the main problems with publishers, both in this game and in real life, because developers don't get a huge cut. Also, you're going to get some upfront pay usually, and if you fail to get the necessary minimum score, then you're going to be penalized for however much the developer sets. Or, I'm sorry, the publisher sets. But that is certainly not the only one here. For example, Bluebit Games is asking us to do a dungeon casual, or we could do this any topic simulation. I mean, you have a bunch of options here. Keep in mind that all of these, you might not necessarily have all the requirements. For example, business strategy, but I don't have business research. I could research that, but it would cost me the 10 research points. Also, if I take a look at research now, I do need to click on one of the characters, and I can have him research. As you can see, there's a bunch of options. I can get stereoscopic 3D if I really wanted to, but it costs 40 research points, which is very tough to get. I could get a very advanced version of 2D graphics, but I don't really see the point in this market. Then we have video playback, save to cloud, online play, bunch of good stuff here. Advanced body language. And this is one of the problems with the industry. Engines nowadays cost a lot of money, and I think it's something this game portrays very well. So for example, if I wanted to upgrade my engine right now, I could take off 3D graphics V3 and put on the V4. I could have the soundtrack. I could put in basic physics. I could have mod support. You can already see the cost rising. I could add steering wheel, achievement support, skill trees. I could have a voiceover, dynamic environment, virtual economy, realistic weather. I have a 1.2 mil engine. You can also name these engines, but the fact that this is so much is it's very difficult to actually earn this kind of money. It's very difficult. So I'm going to hold off on that. Alright. You also have the option to develop sequels. This doesn't actually happen that far in, but as you can see, some of the games you make fail. I have a 3.75 here. Not a good game. Lost a lot of fans off it. Not good. I did make profit, though, which is decent. Go to the next one. I got a 4. Then here I got an 8.75, which is great. And I made 3.7 mil profit. That's great. So, what's the option here? If I make too many sequels of this game, people are going to be pissed off and not want to buy it. For example, I can actually show you a perfect example of that. Let me find it. Where's the last one I made of that? Alright, actually I'll show you this one. Okay, Pikmin 2D. I made this for the TES, and I got an 8.25. Then if I go farther out over here, because my company was kind of struggling, I decided to make a Pikmin 3D Episode 3. This is actually the one farther down the line, but nonetheless, I got a 5.25. Just because you're releasing a sequel does not mean you're going to have instant success. I have been making a profit, though, so that's something to consider. Right. Space Invasion 3 was another example of a game that really didn't make me much. Really, if you're going to make a profit, you want something like this. You want 1.7 mil. It's kind of what you're looking for. Alright, so let's try to make a sequel. I'm going to try out Honor the Throne 3. Because that seems good. Of course, we're going to title it the same. And you have the option of small or medium games. If you choose medium games, you get to allocate each of your employees to certain portions of the game. And I'll show you that in a moment. But I'm going to have it for mature audiences. I'm going to have it be a strategy adventure. Strategy adventure doesn't make too much sense. I guess it kind of... strategy action. Let's do strategy action. And we'll put it on the Xbox 720. Also, we're going to use my very good game engine. This is my best one, the Univa engine version 1.0. We can go next. And now I get the options of my graphic style. Obviously, you do not want to put all your money into all the different graphic styles that you can put on an engine, because quite frankly, it's going to drive the price up through the roof. You want to choose what you will mainly use, which for me is 3D graphics, and right now I have the highest version I can hopefully get for it without investing in a whole new engine. There we go. And now we can start. And I just made one bug before it even began. Okay, so here we get a lot of new features. As you can see, save game, multiplayer, I have joystick, gamepad support, character progression. All this stuff on the side is pretty much a straight up improvement. But as you can see, it costs a lot of money. Development stage 1 itself is going to cost me $115,000. Very difficult to budget this. Alright, so this is a strategy action, so story and questing is not too important. Gameplay needs to be good though. I'm going to make the gameplay the best portion of this game by far. I think that'll be fine. Alright. So, as you can see, we have hype building up, and that's because we have 46,000 fans. Just by you making a game alone at this point, you're going to start generating hype, which is very important to get a very successful game. There's other ways that you can actually increase that hype, and I'll show you that in a moment. As you can see, for development stage 2, we have a lot of other features as well. We have better dialogues, dialogue tree, level editor, Easter eggs, better AI, AI companions, bunch of good stuff. So, we're going to need good AI, and I think dialogues can go down a little bit, and we can lower level design just a tad. Again, it's a strategy game for medieval style, and we're going to have the AI be very good. Alright, so we have a lot of points being put into everything. As you can see, we have a lot of bugs, but these can all be fixed. Hype is at 37, which is not bad. Not bad at all. Especially considering you saw in the very beginning of the game, you got no hype, and that made it very difficult to sell copies. Alright, so sound can go down. That's not too important. World design, not so great. But we need good graphics. That'll work. Alright, a lot of points going into this, and this is going to be the end of development. Again, I told you before that you generally want to have about 100 in each. And this is actually a lower end game that I'm making because I don't have that many points in all of them. As you can see, current systems will be taken off the market over time. So here, the PlaySystem 3, or the PlayStation 3, will be taken off the market because the PlayStation 4 is out, so there's no real reason to have this on anymore. Alright, so getting rid of all the bugs, and we are fine-tuning the game. As you can see, we now hit 100 there, and I'm still putting points in various areas. Now, if I wait too long, the hype will start dying down. It's a bit of a problem. As you can see, there it goes. It's going to go down one, I believe. In a moment. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so the hype's starting to die. Now, if I go to marketing, I can start marketing this game. And I can do some pretty cool stuff. I can do anywhere from advertising in magazines, having demos, or I could even do a large marketing campaign. This will cost me $2 million. This is TV trailers, behind-the-scene reports, exclusive reviews. You know, we're getting crazy money behind this game. I don't think it will do that well, so I just want to advertise in magazines. Let's get me enough hype just to say, hey, it's here, and now we have 59 hype, and I can start releasing. Didn't break any records. It was not my most technologically or design-oriented game ever, so we can release, and we'll see how the reviews do. Keep in mind that you can have a great game that will just fail because people won't buy it. Alright, so it looks like this game's going to be a failure. There we go. We get a 4, a 5, 5, and what's the last one going to be? A 3. So yeah, fail of a game, even though I had so many design and technology points in it. That does not mean I will not make a profit. Obviously, I'm selling a lot of units, and that's mainly because I have a large fan base. Problem being, if you start selling a bad game, you're losing a lot of fans. Also, keep in mind that I have $84,000 worth of upkeep costs just to keep the studio open. Keep that in mind. Alright, so I can go find contract work, and I'm going to do some character design for a random company, and they will hopefully pay me $62K, and we can pump some points into this. like to show you what it looks like when you succeed. Pretty obvious, though. Now, keep in mind that these contracts will not keep the studio open. You need to release good games in order to actually manipulate the audience. Alright, so there's 62K, and we'll do a bit more contract work. This is going to be 7 weeks long that we have to do this, so that's a great amount of time to get this much stuff done. Alright. So it's a pretty nice studio. You can move out of your garage and into the studio as soon as you hit $1 million. Another thing to keep in mind is that your employees will get tired. They release a lot of games, so they will get a little bit tired. So, in order to make you guys happy again, you'll see that the bar is going down. If it gets too low, you want to click on your employee and send them on a vacation. I'm going to send both my guys on a vacation right now because we're not actually researching anything new. Another thing I can do is train my guys. So I can have them specialize in something. That's something I could do. But I don't really have the money or any of the research points in order to do that. I could have him do this stuff, which is actually for a game convention, and that's something I will definitely show you. And I could also do some book studies. So, for example, if I do coding complete, all of these will give me different points. As you can see, I have my design, technology, speed, and research points over here, and I'm level 7. I can do coding complete. And here we go, game convention. Okay, so the big game convention will take place in 4 weeks' time. Do you want to participate? Yes, I do, because that's a great way to market your games. I'm going to get a medium booth. And now that I have done coding complete, you'll notice that I'm improving my technology skill. And a little bit in my design, but mostly tech. And training is good to do in between development of games. Generally tends to be a good idea. Alright. So as soon as he's done with that, I'll show you a brand new game. Here we go, G3. So you're going to get a lot of people to visit your booth. A lot of this depends on how many fans you actually have. I'm going to get 290,000 people to visit my booth. And even with that many people, I did not even get in the top 100. It's very difficult to get in the top 100 because you have super giant publishers there. That's the problem. Okay, so let's do a publishing deal. And this is pretty much the last thing I want to show you on this game. So I can do any topic, any genre for Ubersoft. And I need to get a minimum score of 6. That's probably not going to happen, to be honest. Minimum score of 6. That's rough. Yeah, these publishing deals are very rough. Do I really? Nah, I'm not actually going to do that because I would lose a lot of money. Actually, no, I will do it just to highlight it because, quite frankly, it's something the game pushes a lot for to show how difficult it is to actually please your publisher. So, let's do a UFO simulation. Why not? Need to make it for the MPad, though, and I don't have a license. Alright, let's do any topic, any genre. We're going to make it a medium game because the publisher specifies that we have to. We're going to call it Stupid Pub. And we're going to make it a romance. This is going to be so weird. A casual adventure romance game for the PC. And we're going to put on the Unity engine. Alright, I'm going to do 3D graphics. Make the romance really stand out. And you can see that I'm getting some points in before the design even begins. And now I can put in my support. I definitely want mouse because it is going to be on the PC. Get rid of joystick and gamepad because, quite frankly, PC Master Race with the mouse and keyboard. Okay, so we're going to have an adventure game, which means we need a ton of stories and quests. And I want the gameplay to be good. I'm going to keep it kind of even across the board, though. Meanwhile, I can assign each of my workers to certain areas of this because of the fact that it's a medium-sized game. I actually have to do this, so I'm going to put myself in charge of stories and quests. That seems important. And then I'm going to... Well, actually, who has the highest tech level? I do. So I'm actually going to be in charge of the engine. I'm going to put David Dossman in charge of stories and quests because he's very good at design. And the thing I really don't care about, gameplay, will go there. And I'll rebalance the sliders to match. Alright, there we go. So now we're getting a lot of hype. One nice thing about publishers is that they will hype the game for you. You should never hype your own game when you're developing for a publisher because, quite frankly, they should be the ones doing that, and they do, so I have hype already. Also, did I make this for mature audiences? I don't actually remember. Alright, whatever. Dialogue needs to be great. Need to remember that. And AI, I guess, needs to be good as well. Alright, David Dossman. You can work on level design because you have good design. I am good with text, so I'll work on AI, and then dialogues can go to him. Alright, also you'll notice that these bars are filling up with a certain amount green, and there's a percentage at the top. Essentially, your guys can only take so much workload. If I overload somebody, like, for example, if I do this, he is at 139%, and he's going to be very inefficient at producing. So I need to keep it balanced. That's why you really need to get guys with equal skills, pretty much, so you can start dividing tasks. That's a good point. Okay. So once again, we're putting a lot of emphasis onto design, it looks like. Most of my guys are pretty design-oriented. I'm the only one that's really tech-oriented. Should start training David Fletcher pretty soon as well. Also, you'll see that there are random trends. Like before, there was a trend towards mature gamers. So if you put out games like that, it's generally going to sell more. You need to keep track of that, because otherwise, if they don't sell a lot, then your company is going down very quickly. Alright, so my tech level, I'm going to be working on, I guess, sound. Yeah. And then we can put him there. Don't need the best graphics. I'll put great sound. That seems good. Seems a bit excessive for sound, though, to be honest. Alright, there we go. World design will be left up to David Fletcher, because why not? And we can finish off our game development. Alright. So we'll see how this game does. Again, we need to get good scores on this, otherwise we'll be fined, and it's not good. I got a lot of bugs on that, and you'll generally find that the farther you get into the game, the more bugs your games will have, but they can be fixed relatively quickly. Again, I'm not going to hype the game because it's the publisher's job. A little bit of fine-tuning, and we can release the game. It's not really a very hot game. You know, we don't have a lot of design or a lot of tech points. Occasionally, you get games that shoot off the charts for no good reason. Also, you guys will earn random raises. There's a lot of things that can go a little wonky. So I'm going to get ones! Yeah! I really had a feeling that romance games on the PC wouldn't work, but hey! It's fun nonetheless. Okay, so this game is going to be an absolute failure, and the publisher is going to start fining the crap out of me. But, look how many units are being sold. I'm losing tons of fans, but look how many units. It's always nice. So I'm going to be fined $255,000. It's a rough game. And it highlights a lot of problems that are currently actually in the game market. And you need to realize what people are actually going to buy. I knew right off the bat that a romance game on the PC wouldn't sell. But, you know, this is for demonstration purposes. I've sold over 1 million copies, which is kind of shocking. I would have way more money if I actually was the one to publish that. But unfortunately, no. I only got 9% of that, which is quite rough, honestly. And I have a very, very high upkeep cost for the studio. It's a tough game. So my overall impressions, it's definitely a time sink. I played this game for about 5 hours yesterday, and I don't really know why I got so invested into it. I don't know why I really felt a genuine sadness when my games didn't take off. I'd say that the game definitely promotes a lot of emotion out of you for your studio. You don't want your studio to fail. You really don't. And it definitely makes you think about what do you need to produce next that will be the next big hit. It makes you think about that. And there's something about that that is just really interesting to me. I think that it's something a lot of games don't achieve for you to actually desire beyond anything else for you to keep playing. Because as soon as you bankrupt, you're done. There's nothing you can do past that. And a bank loan is really bad because they don't give you much money and you need to pay like twice the amount later down the road. It's a rough game. But because it's a rough game, it's actually a game that I would highly suggest. Once again, I'll be talking about how the piracy issue has been going with this game. A lot of people ended up pirating this, and they ended up paying the price in a pretty hilarious way. These guys got a lot of media attention for that, and I think that's good for them. This is a game that I think a lot more people should definitely check out. Once again, I'm leaving a link in the description to go buy this, if you're so interested and inclined to do so. I think it was a pretty enjoyable game, though, and it's definitely... It surprises me how much it got me enthralled into it. I'm going to try to make another kick-ass studio right after this one fails, because it will fail, especially after these couple of bad games. It's a rough time. If we look at my game history, I mean, the past couple games, 1.75, I mean, it's nowhere near good enough. Yeah. The huge problem, I guess, is competing with the market. When you have huge publishers giving people loads of money to produce these epic games, and the publishers themselves sometimes producing their own games, it's very difficult to stay up with the competition, stay on the competitive edge, because when you look at the cost of an engine, it's just crazy. I mean, it's ridiculous how much some of this stuff can cost, and keeping up with that is very difficult. So I hope you guys enjoyed the game. I definitely give this 2 thumbs up. I think it does a great job in pretty much everything. And I'll see you guys in future videos. Again, link in the description to buy Dev Tycoon. See ya.